Hey guys, welcome to the Up Next podcast, where we are interviewing teen entrepreneurs that are making it big time in the startup world. We are asking the questions we know you want to hear. Up Next is an app made for teens where anyone can join or build a real life startup.
So our guest today is Michael Matias, age 25, from Tel Aviv, Israel. He is the software engineer at Hippo Insurance and the co-director at GenZ, and has a podcast of his own with over 300 plus episodes, not to mention 2 TED Talks, which you should go and see right after this. What Hippo Insurance does exactly, it's moved home insurance into the digital age and made it possible to buy a policy online in less than 5 minutes, which makes it sound a lot less complicated. And GenZ is a venture capital fund that has unique access to deals, experts, and markets across different global communities, helping all the startups out there. Michael, anything that you would like to add or that I missed?
Very proud to be a part of all of these amazing endeavors, and honestly humbled that they're willing to take me on. So it's just a gift. It boils down to curiosity, and that's the essence of entrepreneurship. It's not about that billion-dollar idea. It's about this ignition, internal ignition to go and just start something, run ahead. I got my first exposure at 17. I attended an accelerator out of MIT in Boston, and they taught us what it's like to just have an idea and just run with it. And then I continued employing that same mindset for every other thing in life. And I think that's at the end what's the most exciting. So when I say every teen should start a startup, maybe I should rephrase that to every teen should start something. If it's a startup, that's awesome, but it can be anything. And that's the essence of entrepreneurship.
How did you find yourself creating such a business? What sparked the idea?
Yeah, it's been going on. Well, it seems like a while. It's been 10 months. I don't know if that's a long time or not, but it's been 10 months since it started. It started with these fun Zoom calls. I started hitting record like we're doing now and just having these fun conversations, talking about people's passions and journey. And very quickly, I realized that there are thousands of people that I want to talk to. So whoever's willing to hop on for 20 minutes to chat with me, I'll take it. And I'll try to take out that little piece of nugget that they're willing to share over those 20 minutes. And that's how we also got to so many, and we're releasing them daily. And I don't see any reason to stop. So hopefully we'll get to 4 digits one day.
Who do you consider your first mentor? What did they help you go through?
A ton of people that I would consider as the primary mentor, and I'm very blessed with that. I think they're one of the first people that really took me under their wing is Professor Dan Ariely. He wrote Predictably Irrational. He brought me to California for a few months to work with him on research at 17. And that really changed my perspective on the real world and curiosity behind, figuring out why people do what they do. So he's been a phenomenal friend and mentor all these years.
How much time did it take for you to build the product that you launched?
It's been going on. Well, it seems like a while. It's been 10 months. I don't know if that's a long time or not, but it's been 10 months since it started. It started with these fun Zoom calls. I started hitting record like we're doing now and just having these fun conversations, talking about people's passions and journey. And very quickly, I realized that there are thousands of people that I want to talk to. So whoever's willing to hop on for 20 minutes to chat with me, I'll take it. And I'll try to take out that little piece of nugget that they're willing to share over those 20 minutes. And that's how we also got to so many, and we're releasing them daily. And I don't see any reason to stop. So hopefully we'll get to 4 digits one day.
How much money was needed to build your first version?
The beautiful thing about the insurance world is that it's so new, and the technology, the digitalization of insurance, which is a weird concept that is thousands of years old. All of a sudden we have companies like Hippo coming and disrupting it. And I was fortunate to come in at about 3 years into their inception. They've raised a lot of money, they've had some users, but they were still figuring out how do we actually make this work. And I was very happy to see as I was there that we did make it work, and now we're just growing as quickly as possible. And it's an amazing experience seeing a company grow through the product market fit and realizing how do we actually get this done, seeing that it works, and now just putting all the throttle and just trying to see how it grows as quickly as possible.
How did you get those first users, customers to come aboard? What was that like?
Interesting moments come to mind. I ran a company called Hacking Generation Y. We did hackathons around the world. The reason why it started was because I didn't get accepted to a coding marathon myself. I wasn't 18 yet, so I was too young. So I created my own hackathon company, which turned out a fantastic idea. I didn't know it back then, but so I thank that university for not accepting me to their hackathon. But a big failure from one of the hackathons was, I remember in Silicon Valley, we had 500 high schoolers in an auditorium preparing to pitch after 36 hours. And then the landlords of the building came in and they wanted to shut off our electricity because we were over the time. And, I'm with 500 students and they're about to pitch their work. And I'm, 18, I don't really know what to do. And I have these people coming and trying to shut off the electricity and disconnect the microphone. And it was a surreal experience. I remember that, my father took me aside, told me to breathe, and we calmly sorted it out. And I learned the importance of breathing at that moment. It's very undervalued, this concept of breathing for a second to solve a problem.
What is the next goal for you looking forward?
Unlike a lot of other people, I'm not running a single company. I don't have a single thing that I'm focused on. I love working on these different endeavors, and I'm learning immensely from all of them. And the only thing that I can wish for myself, at least in the short term, is to just continue learning and exploring, helping, make an impact wherever I am. Make most use of my time. I do look forward to one day starting my own company and putting 100% of my effort there. But for now, I'm looking to explore different things, make a positive contribution to all these different teams, but also gain as much as I can and these lessons, these building blocks that eventually are going to amount to hopefully something meaningful that I start of my own.
What is one time you experienced a real fail moment? Just, everything went wrong. Did you fix it? Were you able to? Did you learn from it? What happened?
Interesting moments come to mind. I ran a company called Hacking Generation Y. We did hackathons around the world. The reason why it started was because I didn't get accepted to a coding marathon myself. I wasn't 18 yet, so I was too young. So I created my own hackathon company, which turned out a fantastic idea. I didn't know it back then, but so I thank that university for not accepting me to their hackathon. But a big failure from one of the hackathons was, I remember in Silicon Valley, we had 500 high schoolers in an auditorium preparing to pitch after 36 hours. And then the landlords of the building came in and they wanted to shut off our electricity because we were over the time. And, I'm with 500 students and they're about to pitch their work. And I'm, 18, I don't really know what to do. And I have these people coming and trying to shut off the electricity and disconnect the microphone. And it was a surreal experience. I remember that, my father took me aside, told me to breathe, and we calmly sorted it out. And I learned the importance of breathing at that moment. It's very undervalued, this concept of breathing for a second. If you take that moment to breathe, your chances of solving it are just much, much higher because you're able to think rationally and to calmly communicate to the other people. If I went there and started screaming at them and getting into a fight, it wouldn't have worked. They have the power to disconnect. Through behavioral economics also, how do I communicate this problem and find a compromise together? Then there's a higher chances of solving it, and it was solved in the end.
What are 3 traits that you look for in a co-founder, business partner type of person?
I think that for me, there are 3 things that I learned. I think that I'm looking for somebody who will always say yes and. So I want her or him to always say, yes, that's a good idea, but maybe we can improve in one way or another. And you need both. I don't want to work with somebody who just says yes to everything, but I want them to both say yes and to offer their own input. I want somebody to be relentless, to never give up, no matter what people say, maybe rationally at some point to stop and recalibrate, but not take no for an answer on the general case. And then most importantly, just somebody that's kind. What I'm saying and what I think the world is saying with building companies is that the culture is the most important thing. And at the end, we make 1,000 decisions a day, and the root of them needs to be, kindness and generosity, because that has a tremendous butterfly effect, down the company culture, but also the people that you're working with. And it just makes the whole thing just so much more fun. It makes everything so much calmer. And when you reach a problem, that you're working with somebody that you want to solve the problem with, not somebody that you might end up going head to head with on a regular basis.
Could you name one advantage and one disadvantage of being such a young entrepreneur?
So I think that a huge advantage is that you don't really have limits. You don't have a family usually you don't have a family to take care of. You don't have, a 9 to 5 job you have to go to. You can just explore your infinite curiosity and creativity. I remember in high school and middle school, starting a different project every week. It doesn't even really matter if it fails or succeeds, but I learned, and that was the real, value. The downside is you probably go to less parties. But luckily my best friends came from the group that I used to work on these projects with.
What is a tech tool that you just can't go without? Maybe an app or a website, something that you always use?
Probably Superhuman. It is an incredible email client, and it's very underestimated how important our communication is in our daily life. I write a lot of emails. That's part of the place that I'm at right now, and having a program that helps me do it 2 times more efficiently, that just saves my life. And so I'm very much a productivity geek. So if anybody's interested in productivity, I really recommend checking out all these different apps, but it's great.
Which entrepreneurs inspire you the most these days? Who do you have your eye on?
So I'll give a cheesy answer back, but it's the real one. It's my best friends. I'm saying my best friends, that they're all entrepreneurs in their own domain. Some of them have startups, some of them are just entrepreneurs in life, and I see that in everything they do. And I think I'm getting inspired constantly by brainstorming with them on a daily basis, phone calls, and just talking through their different problems and how they're harnessing that that energy to go and solve it. And more importantly, they're enjoying leveraging their community to help them solve it. So it's very, they always say that it's very lonely at the top, but it doesn't have to be, because if you're
Which trait of yours do you feel is your weakest and you need to outsource it somehow with a coworker or maybe a tech platform?
Probably my calendar, and it's very unfortunate that it only has one username and password, because it's very hard for me to maintain it. And that's why I also recently invested in a company called Super Tools, which is reinventing the calendar, because I told them, like, listen, I need this up, I need a better solution. And unfortunately, we find ourselves quickly succumbing to this huge blocks of calendar invites and going from event to event without actual control of our time, which is the most important asset that we have to us. So calendar.
What single piece of advice do you have to give to those who are listening and looking to be in your place?
Get started. Stop thinking, overthinking, just start, just run with it. You'll trust me, you'll change in a million ways. No company that is a success, Clubhouse, which everybody knows Clubhouse now. Those entrepreneurs failed 9 times before Clubhouse, but everybody calls them an overnight success. That is not true. They failed 9 times miserably. The 10th time is when the press decided to write about them, because people don't talk about the failures. So just start, fail, start, fail. Eventually you'll get somewhere cool. And it's all about the persistence. It's all about the getting up again afterwards, but just get started.
How important do you feel it is for young entrepreneurs to think about social change when creating a business?
So I think that, at the young entrepreneur, and I'm talking about young people, I think that social change is important. It shouldn't be, the main focus. I think that, when you're young, your main job is to learn, where our careers are going to span dozens of years. The best thing we can do for ourselves and for the world is to learn as much as we can early on, so that when we are mature enough and when we have harnessed enough experience, we can then go and put social impact at the forefront. But at this point, getting bogged down by social impact might deter you from learning some important lessons about entrepreneurship, that later on you see companies that are that are helping billions of people with things. Those are seasoned entrepreneurs that have built many things before that didn't necessarily have social impact. So it's hugely important. Every person needs to work on social impact in their entrepreneurial career. It doesn't necessarily need to be the first thing that you think of. First, work on failing and finding those important business lessons, and then go make the big impact.
If you could have any superpower in the world, what would you pick?
I'd have to read minds. It would drive me crazy, but I keep trying to, when I'm talking to business partners or to colleagues or to friends, I want to know really what they think. And I think that, I get inspired, really, I get inspired when I see my dog. I have a 1-year-old puppy that I've seen grow from 8 weeks. And I've been observing very carefully how he communicates with other dogs in the dog park. And it's awesome because they're not hiding anything. What my trainer told me is that you can see their whole emotions through their tail. There's no hiding.
Right.
Unfortunately, us humans, we have a tendency to hide a lot, and that makes communication very hard. And so one thing that I would love is to reduce all that noise and clutter, no hiding, say what we think respectfully, and then reach some important milestones. Thank you very much. Best of luck to anybody watching this, and thank you for inviting me. This is great.